Hi everyone, this is Koinzell here. So today we're going to talk about the Blood Necro build. I know in my previous video I talked about the Blood Orb build, but I'm going to cover the Blood Surge Army build first so that I can then transition to the Blood Orb Surge to show you guys what's the difference when you drop your minions and go for sacrifice in the Book of the Dead. So first off, let's look at the Blood Surge Army build. The Blood Surge Army build is actually very dependent on this for it to really have a beautiful result. Death Speaker's Pendant. So basically this unique, it allows your Blood Surge to also cast a mini Nova on all your minions. We don't know what's the X damage right now. The damage is increased by 10% per target drained by the initial cast up to 50%, which is like the same usual benefit you have on Blood Surge. But this amulet here is the reason why we want minions on Blood Surge, at least in this build. Before I go on to talk about the other gear, let me just quickly go run through the skills. Okay, then we'll talk about the gear and then the Paragon as usual. So pretty straightforward stuff, right? We get Hemorrhage for a Blood Mage build because we want to be able to spawn Blood Orb, 20% chance to spawn. And when you pick up Blood Orb, it helps a lot with your essence regeneration and also a lot of other good stuff. We're also trying to get the Fortify build here. Getting Hemorrhage to help us with Fortify. As per the title of the build, we are going for Blood Surge here. So Blood Surge is basically like the Blood Nova in Diablo 3, except that there's an initial stage here where it draws blood for enemies before expelling a Blood Nova. And on top of that, the Nova damage is increased by 10% per enemy drain. So typically you get a max damage when you have 5 enemies within your Blood Nova or your drawing blood AoE. On top of that, the Enhanced Blood Surge gives you healing. So it's either 2.5% or 5% if you have more enemies that you draw from. This here is really good. Okay, this Paranormal Blood Surge is the reason why we are going for this entire build and going for Overpower in this build. Basically, as long as you are healthy, more than 80% HP, you hit, as long as you damage an enemy with your Blood Surge, you will get the stack of Overwhelming Blood, which then allows your Blood Surge to overpower. So with some attack speed on your character, you'll be able to do this very frequently, or much more frequently. Now, you notice that I didn't make max this is because we ran out of skill points. Yeah, it's because we ran out of skill points. Okay? You notice that I have actually gotten in Hued Flash here. Lucky hit giving us up to 12% to create a cost at target's location. Chance double against bosses. Now, I know that Blood Surge Lucky hit is low, but you gotta understand that with the Death Speaker Pendant, we have so many Novas being cast. Let's say if you have 10 minions, that's like 10 more Novas being cast. On top of that, you get the Echo aspect, the aspect that echoes your the Blood Nova, basically give you a second cast of Blood Nova for free. That's a lot of triggers. Okay, so the percentage being low is balanced. Okay, next is Blood Mist. I mean, come on, we are doing an overpower build here. Obviously, we're going to use Blood Mist because once you overpower, Blood Mist cooldown gets reduced by 2 seconds. You couple that with Decrepify's Lucky Hit to reduce active cooldown. We can get ourselves a fairly low cooldown Blood Mist where we can use it whenever we want. Okay, in fact, it's going to be almost 100% uptime. But we are not going to be spamming this. We are going to be spamming this instead. It's more like we use this when we are out of essence, then we use this gain essence. And how do we gain essence back? That would be through the aspects and the gear. So I'll talk about that later. And like I said, this is a Blood Surge with minions. So we are getting investments into our minions. We then make sure that they survive. Otherwise, if they all die, then you are not casting any extra novas. Yeah. Consuming Corpse gives you 9 essence as well as X 9% increased damage. Okay. This again ties in back to the gear. Medium upgrade, all the blood skill upgrades. Now, in here, I've gotten only level 1 of this effect. If the minions do have some survivability issue, it may make more sense to get more of this. And where I'll reduce points is probably going to be this, unfortunately. Because the rest, I see them as very important to the build in terms of getting the, what do you call that? Getting your resource generation and spammability up. Okay. Now, this is really, really good for this build. When a corpse is formed from your skills or minions, 45 for 6% base health. You gotta understand that it's very easy to get corpses in this build because you are doing minions. You can choose the corpse generation variant of each minion. Your blood mist generates 3 corpses. Any damage you deal with a lucky hit allows you to create corpses as well. So there's a lot of corpses being created, and for each corpse you actually get 6% base life fortification. It's a lot. It's a very easy way for you to get fortified. Yeah. You see, there's also this here. Blood hitting enemies with blood skills has up to 25% chance to fortify you for 8% base life. So this also comes into the whole picture of all your blood nova spamming with the blood nova on the minions as well. Yeah. So obviously we mess up everything except for this as well. Because I think that we already have a lot of healing. I don't think we need to invest to this stage. Getting more gruesome mending. Golem buff. This is very important. We don't want the minions to die, right? We don't want them to die one shot. This basically allows them to die in 3 shots, 3 hits, no matter what the scenario is in. I mean, the worst case scenario. As for this, right, it's not just minions, it's yourself as well. Okay, so you get the 12% attack speed as well, which helps with your essence generation through your hemorrhage and also your blood nova spamming. Key passive is very straightforward, right? We are going to get the blood related key passive, which is Rough Mass Vigor. Yeah, increase maximum life by 10%, not much, right? But the important thing is this: after being healthy for 15 seconds, your next blood skill overpowers. So basically, what this means is that if you have longer downtime between combat, your first blood nova is going to overpower, which is very good which has very good synergy with the legendary aspect. So that's the skill tree. Let's talk about the gear now. Straightforward stuff, right? Harlequin Crest. It's just way too imba. And now we have a unit that is specific to Blood Op. Basically, when you pick up 5 to 10 Blood Op or 10 to 5 Blood Ops, a free Bone Spirit will spawn, dealing bonus damage based on your current life percent. So instead of dealing bonus damage based on the amount of assets that you have upon cast, it's now dealing bonus damage on your current life percent. And most of the time you would be at 100% on this build. There's so much healing, and it's crazy the amount of healing here. Okay. So the stats on this unit is okay. I mean, it's not fantastic, but it's okay. But what this offers, right, is free damage, and you actually get quite a bit of block outs from this. I'll show you guys next why I say so. It's because of this aspect of the embalmment. Consuming a corpse has a 20 to 30% chance to spawn a blood orb. Now do you see why we are going for minions and getting the healed flesh? Oh, and my minions are indeed getting everything that allows us to get corpses. So Rippers have a 50% chance to get corpse while attacking. The Bone Mage, when they die, they leave behind a corpse and fortify you for 11% of base life. So fortification again ties in perfectly to this Overpower / Fortify build. When you do Overpower, you should always do Fortify because although Overpower gets damage scaling based on your Fortify as well. And obviously the Golem, we are going for the one that sheds a corpse when you hit 20% in life. And more importantly is the fact that it has taunt. This taunt is very, very important to maximize the effect of your Blood Novas as well as your minions' Blood Novas. Okay? And on top of that, how do we consume corpse? We have our skeleton, raising skeleton to consume corpses. We have the aspect of explosive mist to do it as well. I mean, come on, it's a blood build. For sure, you're going to use blood mist. And it makes sense to use the explosive mist to allow you to consume the corpses, right? Make use of the corpse resource. And while you're making use of the corpse resource, you're at the same time using it to generate blood orbs. Now, what blood orbs do by default is just 15% health, 50% healing. But we have this aspect of potent blood. what it does is that when you're at full life, Blood Ops grants 20 essence, 10 to 20 essence. This is really, really good. Because, like I say again, right, you're going to be at full life most of the time when you're in this build because this Blood Surge heals you. All the different Blood Ops heals you as well. Okay? You're getting so much healing, it's crazy. So this has perfect synergy everything when everything comes together. Likewise with this as well. I'll talk more about this effect here. Now the next one, obviously on the weapon, we want a two-hand weapon because we are doing Blood Surge Nova echoing again after a short delay, dealing 70 to 60% less damage. Sounds like not that fantastic, right? But when you have a two-hand weapon, it's basically 35 to 30% less damage. A free Blood Nova that's only 30% less, so it's like a 70% of your original Nova damage. That's really good. And that's the reason why we're using a two-hand weapon, because if I use two different aspects on one hand weapon and maybe with an offhand codex or a shield, what this means is that the blood surge does 30% less instead of 60% less. Okay, that's very important. Because we can't afford to use it on amulet because we're using Death Speaker's pendant here, right? So Death Speaker's pendant, now I'm going to talk about this. We don't know yet this mini nova how it interacts with number one, the blood surge upgrade here, where you gain 1 stack of overwhelming blood when you are healthy. 5 stacks of overwhelming blood, your next blood surge overpowers. I don't think it will be so OP or so broken that the mini nova helps you get the stacks on your overwhelming blood. If it does, it's going to be really, really strong. If it does, it's going to be like the strongest Necro build ever. Because that Speaker's Pendant also has very, very good Ephesus. You have blood skill damage, you have minion damage, you have Rance to Coalesce's blood, which is basically the one that increases your damage when you're healthy. And additional healing, which ties in again to the whole build, right? Now, even if it doesn't allow you to gain overwhelming blood, the stats that allows you to do guaranteed overpower, still a lot of blood novas. Okay, it's still a lot of blood surge novas. There's still many, many more chances for your lucky hit. It's still many damage on your minions, a lot of additional damage on your minions. More importantly, I also do not know whether or not the Echo will work on Death Speaker's Pendant's Mini Nova. Right now, based on the feedback that we have from previous beta, we had no access to Death Speaker Pendants. That's why we don't know how it works. But for blood buff aspect and overwhelming blood, I've actually seen different feedback. There's feedback saying that the echoing Nova doesn't even overpower when you have your guaranteed overpower. And there's also feedback that says that this guaranteed overpower from over 5 stacks of overwhelming blood, the echo that happens right after it does overpower as well. I'm more inclined to think that it should overpower the echoing. The echo, or the second free blood nova, right? It should overpower when your main overpower. It's got to be like either or, right? It's either the blood surge echoing nova allows you to gain overwhelming blood stacks, or it's considered as part of the original class and it overpowers as well. Otherwise, it's a little wonky if you ask me in terms of interaction. But what this means is that basically, if we get guaranteed overpower on the echoing nova, it's pretty good because it's 70% of your original nova because it's two-hand weapon, right? So that actually gives us overpower on 1.7 worth or 170% worth on your usual nova. That's really nice. So now the next thing is whether or not the echoing works on a mini nova. If it does, it's fantastic. If it doesn't, like I said, it's still a lot of novas, it's still a lot of lucky hit procs. Or chances to prot lucky hit, sorry. So yep, I really like the Death Speaker's pendants here, along with all the different interaction that we have here. The other last or rather the last aspect I want to talk about is this. Whenever your blood skills overpower, you gain 20 to 50% attack speed for 4 seconds. This is really important because with the increased attack speed, you get to spam your blood nova more, or rather your blood surge more. You also get to cast your hemorrhage at a much faster speed, and you gain more blood orbs. Now, if you remember, I was talking about explosive mist and it generating corpses and then detonating corpses, right? And all the different corpses that we're getting from our minions, as well as the huge flash passive. So generally speaking, the gist of it should be you're spamming blood nova. After spamming blood nova, you cast your explosive mist to generate blood orbs. Now you can also cast explosive mist first to generate blood orbs, not collect them, and spend your blood nova and then move around to collect them. Either way, it works. Okay. The using blood explosive mist first may be better in terms of like managing your cooldowns. But we'll have to see how it works out in terms of actual gameplay practice. But this is very important, especially if you get 50% attack speed or at 40 plus, right? Because 50% attack speed also translates to 15 attack speed for your minions, because minions gain 30% of your attack speed. So all of a sudden, our minions get a attack speed boost as well. That's even better than this passive, right? This passive gives us 12%. That aspect gives us 50%. Now, obviously, you might think that this is a bit overpowered, but it's not. Because if you really think about it, right, the condition is your blood skill overpowering. So in some cases, you might even get this late, which is why we need the key passive. The key passive here basically gives us a chance to be able to overpower on our first blood skill between combats, between each combat encounters. So then we get the full benefit of the attack speed buff. Okay. So yep, this is how I see this entire setup. It's really good. In terms of the gems for the weapon, I'm putting overpower damage here because I'm expecting like a high amount of overpower that we do get here. But if we end up not getting high overpower, then it's perfectly fine to get crit damage versus crowd control enemies because we're degrappified. Your enemies are always going to be crowd control. Okay. Obviously, we get life in the Fortify build. Armor, no brainer for intelligence character. And the minions, like I said, we are going for all the corpse generation. And this is how the skill setup looks like. And I've already covered all the passives as well. So now let's move on to talk about the Paragon Board. Paragon Board for the Blood Surge Army Mage or Necro, you only have 5 boards, including the starting board. Why? Because we need to get a lot of rare nodes with regards to the Overpower and Fortification. Okay, you can't get this elsewhere. So you have to get it through the nodes. The legendary nodes, we will start off with Corporal, reducing our physical damage and our minions, because our minions are all dealing physical damage. We are doing Boom Mage as well. All our blood skills are physical damage too. Okay, so this works out perfectly. Then we move on after the starting board. We move on to the blood buff. Better view. We move on to blood buff, and blood buff basically, we are getting every single rare node cluster other than this damage over time reduction. We don't know how the game mechanic is like in the end game. Are there a lot of enemies giving you DOT on you? But this is still a little too specific for my liking, so I don't think it's worth getting this. Now, generally speaking, you always want to get the board with the most rare node cluster as your first board after the starting board, so that you always get the bonus from all the rare nodes. In this, we are only lacking 19 dexterity. We for sure will get it from our gear. Okay. So you see, we actually get all the bonuses from the rare nodes. So this means that we have to spend a lot of nodes here, a lot of our Paragon nodes here. But it's okay, because this is an overpowered build. Even the legendary node is something worth getting. And since I'm getting all the blue nodes, we have a very rather short path to the legendary node as well. Okay, So we get all our Fortify generation, damage during Fortify, just damage alone itself, damage for healthy, overpower, damage from our Fortify. And we get a little bit of bonus healing here as well. Like I said, we are healing a lot, so getting a little bit of healing bonus, which is like 10% here just from 2 nodes, right? It's worthwhile. 10% and 10 intelligence. Now, for the second legendary glyph, or rather, sorry, the rare glyph here, we are getting Blood Drinker. Okay, Blood Drinker. This ties into the whole build again, right? Because, like I said, we are generating blood orbs from consuming corpses. We have a lot of corpse generation method. We have blood mist to instantly consume all the corpses as well as your race skeleton. So you're gonna get a lot of blood orbs. And when blood orbs fortify you for 6%, 6.7% of your maximum life, with the sheer amount of blood orbs that we'll be constantly generating, this helps a lot for us to be fortified. It helps us become fortified fairly quick. And with that, all the bonuses come in, the damage bonuses for Fortify comes in, and you have increased Fortify generation as well. So that increased Fortify generation will apply to this as well. So like if you have 10% Fortify generation, instead of 6.7% maximum life, we should get 7.37. Okay. So yeah, I like this, and the reason why we are getting the healing here is also because of this. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't get the other 2 magic nodes. Couldn't afford to get one. But still nice to get a little bit of bonus, right? Now, next on, there's actually, because of how much nodes we are spending on blood buff, we can actually go 2 paths here. Okay, and it is the shortest. You have this path here just taking 2 nodes, and this path taking 5 additional nodes from the rare cluster. So we go for blood begets blood next, because we want to try to get the bonus from blood begets blood. Now, it's a little tough here. We need a lot more willpower from our gear. Maybe we'll be able to get it, maybe we won't. But it's not so bad because we have gotten the bonuses from our main node. And this node here, the node that gives you overpower damage and extra additional damage, right? This we will be able to get for sure. Because we're only 20 integers off. We'll definitely get this. So this is really good. We get even more overpower. This gives you 10% damage for X seconds after picking up a blood orb. So again, more blood orb synergy. And also the person bonus damage while healthy. So that ties in back to the whole build again. Some increased blood orb healing, as well as the more damage from picking bonuses from picking up blood orb. This is the Dominate rare glyph. Okay, we are using Dominate here. Yes, so that it can be seen. Yeah. So Dominate gets we need willpower for Dominate. Okay, it's not intelligence, it's not dexterous, willpower. This Dominate here, it's slightly different compared to say some barbarians. Barbarians gives you guaranteed overpower in I think 30 seconds. For Necro, it's different. When you overpower an enemy, all damage they take from you on your minions is increased by 12% for 5 seconds. So 12% is already more than the usual 10%. That's number one. Number two, your minions gain this, you also yourself gain this as well. So again, there's a very good synergy. And now you see why I'm getting this node, right? It's because of the willpower nodes as well. Because we need it here. Okay. Now, after we get this, you'll notice that there's no quick path for us to get to the next block from the blood begets block. I mean, everything is costly, more than 5. So we go back to our blood buff, we go our 5 nodes, and we move on to the next block, which is going to be cult leader. Yes, cult leader. Why? Because this is a blood search minion build. We want to improve our minions' survivability and a little bit of their damage as well. So you can think of it like a hybrid build, but with majority focus on blood skills and overpower. So for cult leader, obviously you always use the Dead Razor. I mean, it's just so perfect synergy that you should never ever use any other rare glyph on the cult leader board. Because it's literally made for Dead Razor, or Dead Razor is made for cult leader, whatever you want to, or however you want to spin it. But basically, the damage and damage reduction, we get the full bonus of it. Okay, and Dead Razor is also another one where you get additional 12% instead of just 10% at the base additional bonus. So that's good as well. And we invest in getting attack speed, okay, just so for our Reapers to generate corpse earlier, because they have a 15% chance to generate corpse. We also have the Fortify, sorry, not Fortify, the Bull Mage, which once they the faster they attack, the faster they perish and leave a corpse behind for you. And not to mention, it's along the way to what I really want, which is the skeleton armor boost. Since we are here, we will get the skeleton warrior damage as well. But we wanted the skeleton armor boost so that it improves the skeleton survivability. Because skeletons, the warriors, are actually your most important minions for your mini Blood Surge Nova from the Death Speaker's pendant. Because we're going to get 6 skeletons of them. Those 6 skeletons are going to give us the additional Blood Nova. Okay, and we want them to last as much as possible so that we trigger as many Blood Nova from them as possible before we have to re-raise skeletons. Okay, now it's a bit too much investment to go all the way to get a bonus armor node, so we're not going to get that. Okay, so as a bonus life, this really is worth our getting only on like full-on minion builds. That brings us to the last board, which is Flesh Eater. So like I said, we are doing a lot of like corpse and blood orb interaction, right? Consuming corpse gives us blood orbs, so that's why we want as many corpse as possible. We have a lot of corpse generation in this build. All our minions are doing corpse generation. So that's the reason why we get Flesh Eater as well. We actually spend the nodes to go and get Flesh Eater so that when we consume 5 corpses, we get 40% increased damage for 6 seconds. Now, I would have preferred to be able to get this node to go from here into this, but it's it's a lot less efficient, this path, right? Say for example, if I go here, we get our legendary node, we go here and stand to get this red node cluster, which all of them added together gives us about 12% attack speed. If you remember me going through the build earlier, I was saying that attack speed is actually very important for this build. But unfortunately, I can't spare the nodes for it. So we will go for here instead. And it's not too bad to go for this too. You get bonus damage to injured enemies, the first that we are getting from all our Paragon boards or nodes. And we also get some bonus critical strike damage. So it's not a bad thing. It's not too bad to go this route. And by going this route, basically the very last rare glyph that we are going for here is the control. Because control has the best skilling. And we are going to get control, right? We have the Crepify give us control. Now the only thing is that you may not get it on the bosses, but it helps with the stagger bar on the bosses anyway. So that's that. Oh, sorry. It doesn't help. What I mean is that the Crepify cast helps. So with the skilling that we have here, this is why we're going for this. Now, if you don't like this, you can even go for Territorial. You always do 2% increased damage to close targets. It has lesser skilling compared to Crowd Control having 3%, right? But you also get damage reduction. And because you're doing Blood Surge, you'll always be close to your enemies anyway. So I definitely see value in getting Territorial. So if you don't like Crowd Control, right, you can definitely go Territorial. In fact, Territorial's bonus damage works against bosses. Not unlike the Control, it doesn't work against bosses. You know, bosses with their stagger bar. Only when their stagger bar is hit or achieved or depleted, then you have your crowd control effects come into play. So yeah, for me personally, when I do play this build, I'll probably experiment between the two and decide which is better. For now, I'm putting control for damage, but for sure, if you want more survivability, then territorial helps as well. It's just that we have so much healing that I don't think that we may need this. But if we really do, then yeah, this is a good option. Okay. Yep. Now another option you might want to consider is to get warrior if your skeleton warriors are really dying just way too fast and it's affecting your output of your mini novas, right? Might be worth considering. Another would be amplify. Okay, but I would think that territorial is still the best alternative option. It's really between territorial and control. If you want more survivability and making sure that your bonus damage works against bosses as well, you should use control. Okay, sorry, you should use territorial. Yeah, you should use territorial. My bad. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the Paragon board. There's one thing I forgot to mention earlier for the gear, so let me just quickly talk about it. I'll talk about alternative option. Now, let's say you are having some survivability issues. You're doing content that's so difficult that even with all your healing, you're having some survivability issues, even with all your minions helping to 10 damage, especially with your golem taunting, right? Like generally, once how you approach your combat will be to get your golem to taunt, you decrepify the mods that have gathered to your golem, then you start casting your blood stuff. Yeah. But in that kind of scenario, if even in that scenario you have survivability issue, you can switch to you can drop the blood artisan cuirass and go for temerity. Temerity is a very, very good defense option because for our build here, we are constantly healing with each cast of death surge, or rather blood surge. We are also getting blood orbs that are healing us. So it's very, very, very easy for us to achieve this effect. And if you get a good roll on temerity, it's 80% of your maximum life as a barrier that lasts for 8 seconds. So this greatly, greatly boosts your survival. And the other effices are all related to potion as well. Give you increased potion drop rate, increased potion charges. So if you use temerity, you in theory, you should be able to survive through everything except for like the toughest boss fights. Like if you try to face tank the Cordronen. Is it called Cordronen or Cordronen? Cordronen Stronghold, you know, the level 30 plus stronghold in the Fractured Peaks. That boss at the end has an attack that constantly hits you. If you face tank that, then yeah, you might die. That really hurts. But who knows? Temerity might be able to resist it. So yeah, if you want a defensive option, you can just drop the Blood Artisan's Cuirass. Because after all, it's giving you a bone spirit, not an additional bone skill, a blood skill damage. So it's not a blood skill, it's a bone skill. So this free bone spirit is a bone skill, it's not a blood skill. If it's a blood skill, then it will be even more important to get it because it will have all your synergy from all your blood skill passives, even getting bonus blood skill damage from your Death Speaker's pendant as well, right? Why doesn't? So that's why I say that it's closer to nice to have, although it does have some effices that work for us, right? Getting bonus damage again from picking up blood orbs, additional blood orb healing, stuff like that. So yeah, this is a definitely feasible option, okay, to switch between the two. Either you use the Blood Artisan's Cuirass or you use Temerity. Now, unfortunately, this is a core aspect that we need for this build, so we can't drop this. That's the reason why you have to choose between the two. But if we do solo Blood Surge, for the sake of survivability, we should use a shield. And this is where the shield comes in, right? And this is where we can actually get the aspect of embalmer onto our shield. And the shield also gives you 80% bonus damage to your weapon. And that then allows us to use both Blood Artisan Cuirass and Temerity. But I'll talk more about that in the next video when I talk about solo Blood Surge, yeah, with Blood Orb team. But for now, this is the complete guide that I have for you guys with regards to the Blood Surge army. Especially this Death Speaker's pendant. I'm a huge fan just based on the description. Okay. And the fact that we are also flexible in our gear in being able to switch between the Blood Artisan's Cuirass and Temerity. I mean, assuming you have them. And yeah, I think I probably forgot to mention this, but Glyphs, obviously you get maximum Skeletal Warrior because Skeletal Warriors are the ones that's upfront near to the enemy, and that's where you want your Blood Surge to trigger, as many of your Blood Surges to trigger as possible. So in this setup, we are having 6 Skeleton Warriors, 3 Skeleton Mages, and 1 Golem. So that's already 10 minions. 10 more minions proccing 10 mini Novas. Okay? Alright. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope the guide has been helpful to you guys. If you like the content in the video, please subscribe for more. Bye.